regarding the anti-Parkinsonian drugs, first of all we'll see what is Parkinsonism. So Parkinsonism disease is a progressive degenerative disorder. Progressive degenerative disorder that mostly affects older people. Mostly affects older people or older population. It was first described by Dr. James Parkinson. It is described by Dr. James Parkinson, and hence the name is given in the year 1870. Okay. Now, what exactly is Parkinsonism? It is a kind of extrapyramidal motor disorder. It is an extrapyramidal motor disorder which is mainly characterized by rigidity. Characterized by, I'll write here, rigidity, tremors and hypokinesia. Apart from this, other secondary manifestations like defective posture and gait, and gait, there will be expressionless mask like face, apart from this there will be continuous siluria, means salivation, the saliva will be leaking out from the mouth, siluria. Even dementia do occur over here because there will be degeneration of neuron. See, basically this is a very common problem, even you people might be knowing. In our brain there should be a balance between dopamine and acetylcholine, isn't it? But what happens in Parkinsonism, the level of dopamine will be reduced, and because of which some compensatory increase in the acetylcholine level are been there. Like if suppose 100 dopamine is there, there should be 100 acetylcholine. But what happens here in Parkinsonism, because of degeneration of neuron, or basically you should say more appropriately because of inhibition of degeneration of dopaminergic neurons, there will be reduction of the neurotransmitter of dopamine. From 100 it may become 50. Okay, and there will be an compensatory increase in acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is not increased by itself, but because the level of dopamine has been reduced, there will be an compensatory increase in acetylcholine level. Okay, now because of inhibition of dopaminergic neuron, there is reduced level of dopamine neurotransmitter, and the symptoms of reduced level of dopamine are hypokinesia. Hypokinesia, hypo means reduced, kinesia means movement. So there will be reduced movement. Sometimes there may be akinesia. Akinesia means no movement. Since it is a progressive disorder, if these symptoms are not treated, it may further progress to even akinesia. So reduced level of dopamine leads to hypokinesia, and whatever other symptoms are there like rigidity, tremors, and your siluria, mask like face is also a problem of reduced dopamine. Apart from this rigidity, tremors and siluria, it occurs because of compensatory increase in the acetylcholine level. So the drugs which are used for treating Parkinsonism are, we have got two types of drugs. First drug is drugs that increases the level of dopamine. Another drug are that reduces the level of acetylcholine, so that both dopamine and acetylcholine should be in normal equilibrium. Okay, and treatment is done according to the symptoms. Suppose the symptom is hypokinesia, then we should increase the dopamine level. So we are using the drugs that increases the level of dopamine. Suppose the Parkinson's patients are producing symptoms such as rigidity, tremors and siluria. So in that case, we should reduce the level of acetylcholine, like we are using certain anticholinergic drugs. So as the symptoms, so should be the treatment given by drug. So basically what happens in Parkinson's disease, there will be degeneration of neuron, or you can say degeneration of dopaminergic neuron, or more precisely degeneration of nigrostriatal dopaminergic neuron. Nigrostriatal dopaminergic neuron degeneration. We call it nigrostriatal because these neurons start from substantia nigra and ends into striatum. That's why nigrostriatal dopaminergic neurons are being degenerated, because of which the level of dopamine will be reduced over here. Now why these degeneration occurs, we don't know the exact cause, but various probability are being given. Okay, so first probability is first probability is it may occur because of inhibition of these neurotransmitter by monoamino oxidase. That is B. Monoamino oxidase B may inhibit the dopamine neurotransmitter and ultimately leading to inhibition of the neuron as such. Secondly, it was said that after aging there may be some defect in the mitochondrial electron transport chain, because of which these neurons might not be getting sufficient energy, and because of which these might be degenerated, maybe. So this is also one of the assumption because of which there will be Parkinsonism. Another reason is a chemical known as MPTP, that is N-methyl 4-phenyl tetrahydropyridine. Abbreviated as MPTP. So it is said that this MPTP may be present in environment, or it is present as a contaminant in any drug which is responsible for degeneration of this dopaminergic neuron. Apart from this, one more suggestion for this Parkinsonism disease is there might be degeneration because of glutamate neuron. So this glutamate neuron or glutaminergic neuron, as such, it is an excitatory neurotransmitter, and too much excitation will lead to excitotoxicity. Excitotoxicity means too much opening of the NMDA receptor and too much influx of calcium ion inside the neuron, and after which some cascade of reaction occurs, ultimately leading to damage to the neurons. So this is known as excitotoxicity, which may occur because of glutaminergic neurons. So we have got few suggestions that because of these reasons there might be degeneration of nigrostriatal dopaminergic neuron, ultimately leading to Parkinsonism disease. But we don't know the exact cause, like why it is causing Parkinsonism. Just we have got few suggestions, some probability that because of these reasons there might be damage to the dopaminergic neuron leading to Parkinsonism. Next, we'll see something about the pathogenesis of Parkinsonism, like what exactly happens in your brain. And before discussing about the normal pathogenesis, we should see the normal physiology. See, what happens in Parkinsonism disease is the person suffering from this problem, this disorder, what happens, he is unable to initiate any movement. If he wants to walk, he will be unable to get up to walk, and once he starts walking he is unable to control, and his walking will be quite abnormal, like he will be bent and very tiny steps he will be taking, and that too, for taking that much steps also too much willpower has been required. So what happens over here is, in Parkinson's patient, he will produce some thoughts like, okay, I have to get up. Like suppose me, if I want to catch this pen, first of all some thought processing will be there in my mind, and then I'll lift this pen. So what happens in Parkinson's patient? Thought processing will be there, but that thought processing accompanied to that motor action won't occur. So where does this thought processing occurs? Suppose this is your brain, this is midbrain, pons, medulla, your cerebellum. So thought processing, initiation of thought, whatever you're thinking, like yes, I have to do this thing, I want to get up, I want to walk, I want to run, those thoughts processing should start. After thoughts have been produced, after that only you will implement, isn't it? First of all you will think and then you will implement, isn't it? So thought is been mainly initiated in your prefrontal area, premotor area, supplementary motor area. Okay, so first of all thoughts are being produced from these areas, so neurons are being initiated. Okay, and what will be the final implementation? We have got over here primary motor area, primary motor area. So this primary motor area should receive some kind of input. Okay, after that only from here corticospinal neuron will be produced, and next the final your motor neuron which will move to your skeletal muscle, and ultimately you people will perform the action, isn't it? For walking, for running, everything require contraction of skeletal muscle. So contraction of skeletal muscle, it is getting an update or it is receiving a command from your motor neuron. This motor neuron is receiving command from your corticospinal neuron. Okay, corticospinal neuron means these neurons starts from the cerebral cortex up to your spinal cord, so we call it as a corticospinal neuron, and this corticospinal neuron is mainly initiated in the primary motor area. So this primary motor area should receive some kind of input. Okay, from this thought some kind of input should be there, after that only it will produce the output for your motor action. So there is a connection between the thought and implementation. So that connection mainly occurs in your basal ganglion. First of all there will be basal ganglion. Next we have got substantia nigra, we have got thalamus. So all those thoughts are coming via neuron to your basal ganglion. Next from basal ganglion to your substantia nigra coming, and then moving back to your basal ganglion. Next from basal ganglion it is moving to the thalamus. From the thalamus it will be moving to your primary motor area. Okay, so from thalamus the neuron, the input primary motor area is getting from the thalamus. After thalamus only these neurons gets activated, this corticospinal neurons gets activated. Next we have got motor neuron, and next there will be contraction and relaxation, or you can say implementation, your skeletal muscle contraction, relaxation, and you are able to perform all the work as such. So there is a connection between the thought processing and the motor area and the primary motor area. But what happens in Parkinsonism, the patient, in the patients these thoughts will be produced, but these thoughts are not getting, or they are not communicating with the primary motor area. Some problem occurs over here. So basically this is the pathogenesis which we want to study. Okay, because thoughts are been coming, but but those person are unable to implement their thought. Parkinson's patient will think that they should smile. Means if we'll see any person who are known, our family friend, after no, after a long period of time, if you are meeting any of your friend, you will give a smile. But for the person with Parkinson's disease, they are even unable to smile, because smiling also it is a kind of motor action. They'll think that they want to smile, but there is no communication between the thought processes and your primary motor area. So they'll be just like a mask like face. expression less face. They are unable to perform even a simple motor function of a smiling also. So there is a miscommunication between the thought processes and the primary motor area. This thought processing is unable to reach up to the primary motor area. So we'll see what happens over here. So first we'll see what all are the structures of your basal ganglion. Suppose this is your normal brain, a lateral view. In the midbrain, there will be a structure known as substantia nigra. Okay, substantia nigra is present in your midbrain. This is telencephalon, the cerebral part, and inserted inside the telencephalon will be your diencephalon. In the diencephalon, there will be a structure known as thalamus, and just below thalamus there will be subthalamus. Lateral to this thalamus will be few structure. This is known as caudate. This part is known as putamen, and in front of putamen there will be a part known as globus pallidus. Globus pallidus have got two sections. We have got globus pallidus externa and globus pallidus interna. Okay. So basically this caudate, putamen and globus pallidus together they form this entire thing forms your basal ganglion. Okay, so whatever thoughts are coming from the prefrontal area, premotor area and supplementary area, these are moving to this area, to the basal ganglion. And next some role is played by your substantia nigra, like over here only dopaminergic neurons are present. Next some communication occurs with the thalamus, and ultimately the neurons from the thalamus will be moving to your primary motor area. And next you might be knowing from the primary motor area the corticospinal neuron will be coming, and next finally the motor neuron, because of which it is giving information to the skeletal muscle for contraction. So this is the normal thing. This is the lateral view. I'll draw here a frontal section for a better view. This is your cerebral hemisphere, midbrain, pons, medulla and your long spinal cord. So over here in the midbrain there will be your substantia nigra, two substantia nigra. In your diencephalon there will be thalamus, and just below thalamus we have got subthalamus. Laterally we will be having globus pallidus, putamen and caudate. Here for better understanding we will assume caudate and putamen a single structure which is known as striatum. Okay, caudate plus putamen together are known as striatum. Okay, and in front of this striatum there will be globus pallidus externa and globus pallidus interna. Okay, so we'll see the neuronal connection over here. And before understanding, for a better understanding of this connection, we should know regarding few neurotransmitters. See, neurotransmitters are of two types: excitatory neurotransmitter and inhibitory neurotransmitter. I'll be drawing the excitatory neurotransmitter with green color. Suppose this over here I'll make. Suppose this is your excitatory neurotransmitter. Okay, and here is your inhibitory neurotransmitter. Excitatory neurotransmitter examples are your cholinergic neuron, your glutaminergic neuron. Inhibitory neurotransmitter example is your GABA. Over here we will be talking about GABA, as an inhibitory neurotransmitter, and acetylcholine and glutamate as your excitatory neurotransmitter. Now what happens, this excitatory neurons means these neurons will release neurotransmitters which will cause excitation of these neurons. Excitation of these neurons means action potential is being produced over here in this neuron. Because of action potential produced in this neuron is able to release its neurotransmitter to the next successive neuron. Okay, this is an excitatory neuron. Excitatory neuron will be releasing neurotransmitter which causes excitation of this neuron number 2. Excitation means generation of the action potential. Since this neuron number 2 is getting excited, it is able to produce action potential. It is able to release neurotransmitter over this neuron number 3. Okay, now we'll see what happens in an inhibitory neuron. Suppose this is also neuron number 2, neuron number 3. Inhibitory neuron will be releasing inhibitory neurotransmitters such as GABA. And what happens when inhibitory neurotransmitters are being released? It is unable to produce action potential, so there won't be any action potential. Okay, this is the difference. Excitatory neurotransmitter can produce excitation of this neuron number 2. Inhibitory neurotransmitter is inhibiting this neuron number 2. When this neuron number 2 is inhibited, it is unable to produce or it is unable to release the neurotransmitter in the neuron number 3. Okay, so this is happening. Once again we'll revise. Neuron number 1 is an excitatory neurotransmitter which is able to excite the neuron number 2. Neuron number 2 which is being excited, because of that excitation, because of excitation is nothing but production of action potential, it is able to release its neurotransmitter on the neuron number 3. Okay, so for releasing this neurotransmitter, these neurons should get excited. What happens over here? It is GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter, so it is inhibiting the neuron number 2. That means no action potential is being produced. Since there is no action potential produced, it is just sleeping, it is silent. Okay, this neuron will remain silent. Silent means it will not release its neuron transmitter to the neuron number 3. Okay, so this is what happens in your excitatory and inhibitory neurotransmitter. So coming to the actual pathogenesis, again I'll draw the frontal view. Your cerebrum, your midbrain, pons, medulla, and next your spinal cord. Okay, here substantia nigra. Here will be your 2 thalamus, below thalamus, subthalamus, and laterally there will be, yes, striatum, global pallidus externa, globus pallidus interna. Okay, similarly here this part is striatum and this part is globus pallidus, divided into externa and interna. Okay, now we'll see the pathways, how the thought processing are being done, thoughts are coming, and then how it is moving to the motor area. So with green I'll be drawing the excitatory neurotransmitter, and with red I'll be making the inhibitory neurotransmitter. So first thoughts are coming from this prefrontal and premotor and supplementary motor area. So these neurons are nothing but your excitatory neurotransmitter, which are cholinergic neuron and your glutaminergic neuron. Okay, these are coming to your striatum. Okay, so next from the striatum there will be some inhibitory neurotransmitter, and these inhibitory neurotransmitter are moving to your globus pallidus interna. Okay, this is an inhibitory neurons. From the globus pallidus, another inhibitory neuron is coming from the globus pallidus to the thalamus. It is known as pallidothalamic neuron. This is striatopallidic neuron, and this is the pallidothalamic neuron. Next from the thalamus, there will be an excitatory neuron which is initiating from the thalamus and then moving to your primary motor area. Okay, so this is known as a direct pathway. Okay, direct pathway. In direct pathway, what is happening? An excitatory neuron is coming from the your prefrontal area and all the area from where thoughts are being produced. They are moving to the striatum. From the striatum, inhibitory neurons are being initiated. That is GABAergic neuron. These neurons are starting from the striatum and ending to the globus pallidus. And next, the third neuron is again an inhibitory neuron. It is starting from the globus pallidus interna and ending to your thalamus. Next, from the thalamus, an excitatory neuron is being initiated and ends up to your primary motor area. Okay. So this is a direct pathway. After direct pathway, we have got one more pathway, that is obviously indirect pathway. In indirect pathway, what happens? Neurons are starting from the striatum and this neuron is ending in the globus pallidus externa. Okay. Next, from here, another neuron which is again an inhibitory neuron. It is starting from the globus pallidus externa and coming to your subthalamus. Okay. Next, from the subthalamus, now there is an excitatory neuron and this neuron is going to back to your globus pallidus interna. And next, it is continuous from globus pallidus interna to the thalamus, from the thalamus to your primary motor area. So this is the thing, how thoughts are being produced and then how it is going to your primary motor area. And next we will be knowing from the primary motor area the corticospinal neuron, and next from the here motor neuron, and next finally there will be skeletal muscle contraction. Now here thoughts are being converted into action, but we want initiation of action. So that initiation of action occurs because of the dopaminergic neuron, and that is your nigrostriatal neuron. So from here dopaminergic neuron is coming, one neuron for direct and one neuron for indirect pathway. Okay, I believe this is getting very much smudgy, so I'll make a bigger diagram over here, just taking important structures like your thalamus, next here your subthalamus, I hope you people can understand the structure. Okay, this is your striatum, this part is your globus pallidus, this is externa, this is interna, this is your thalamus, subthalamus, and this one is your substantia nigra. Okay, so what is happening over here? Thought processes are coming in the form of cholinergic and dopaminergic neuron, isn't it? Next, followed by this is your direct pathway. We'll see first of all in the direct pathway what is happening. The inhibitory neurons which is starting from the striatum and ending into the globus pallidus interna. Next, from here another inhibitory neuron starting from the globus pallidus interna up to your thalamus. Next, there will be an excitatory neuron which is starting from the thalamus and ending up in your above in the motor area. So this entirely is your yes, the direct pathway. Next we will see about the indirect pathway. Indirect pathway means again same thing, these two neurons are being received by another inhibitory neuron which is ending up in the globus pallidus interna. Next, from globus pallidus interna, where it is moving to your subthalamus. Okay. Next, from the subthalamus, where it is going in the form of excitatory neuron back to here, same pathway. Okay, it is just moving here. I believe you people can see properly. Okay, an entire view. this is the direct pathway and this one is the indirect pathway. In indirect pathway there are few extra neuron. One GABAergic neuron starting from the striatum up to your globus pallidus externa. Next from globus pallidus externa another inhibitory neuron from here to subthalamus. Next from the subthalamus there is an excitatory neuron starting from the subthalamus and ending up in the globus pallidus interna. Next from here it follows the same pathway. From the globus pallidus interna it moves to your thalamus and next from the thalamus back to your motor neuron. Okay, now these all things happens, but for initiation of these action we require dopaminergic neuron. So we have got dopaminergic neuron starting from the substantia nigra. One neuron is acting over here and another one is over the here. Okay, one is for direct pathway and another is for indirect pathway. So dopamine is a kind of neurotransmitter and it is producing action on the receptor, isn't it? So the receptor present in the direct pathway over here is D1 receptor and the receptor present over here in the indirect pathway is your D2 receptor. Now what is the difference between D1 and D2 receptor means? Both are G protein coupled receptor, but D1 is a stimulatory G protein coupled receptor whereas D2 is inhibitory G protein coupled receptor. So we'll see what all actions have been produced over here. First of all, we'll see about the direct pathway. So what happens whenever thoughts are being produced and it reaches to this area, this red neuron, and this red neuron is also receiving dopamine through this dopaminergic neuron, which is a kind of stimulatory neurotransmitter. So ultimate result is this red neuron is getting stimulated. Stimulated means action potential is produced in this red neuron. And which kind of neuron it is? Yes, it is an inhibitory neuron. Inhibitory neuron means this neuron will be releasing an inhibitory neurotransmitter in this second red neuron. Okay, when it is producing inhibitory neurotransmitter means there won't be any excitation of this red neuron, isn't it? So there won't be any action potential produced over here. When this red neuron is not producing any action potential means there won't be release of any neurotransmitter, isn't it? So what kind of neuron it is? This red neuron is an inhibitory neuron. So it is producing, as such it is expected to produce GABA. But since action potential is not produced, since these inhibitory neurons are not excited, so it won't produce its neurotransmitter. Okay, and what was its neurotransmitter? GABA. Its main role was to inhibit this green neuron. But since it is unable to produce GABA, so it will not inhibit this green neuron. Means this green neuron will get excited. Okay, and what kind of neuron it is? It is an excitatory neuron. That means which is ending up in your primary motor area. So since it is an excitatory neuron, it is able to release its neuron transmitter in the primary motor area, and that means primary motor area are getting some positive response, some kind of action potential is been received by the primary motor area neurons, and ultimately which leads to your action production. Okay, so this is about the direct pathway. What happens in direct pathway? In direct pathway, this red neuron which is starting from the striatum, this red neuron is receiving thoughts via your cholinergic and glutaminergic neuron, as well as initiation of the movement we require dopaminergic neuron. So this dopaminergic neuron is acting on this neuron, this red neuron, where it contains a receptor which is a D1 receptor, and D1 receptor is a kind of stimulatory receptor. So this red neuron is getting stimulated. That means action potential is being produced, and followed by action potential production it will cause release of its neurotransmitter, which is a GABAergic neurotransmitter. So this GABA is a kind of inhibitory neuron. It will inhibit this second red neuron, and this neuron is getting inhibited. inhibitory neurotransmitters are getting inhibited. That means they are unable to produce action potential, and when there is no action potential produced, there won't be any release of the inhibitory neurotransmitter. That means this red neuron fails to inhibit this green neuron, because of which this green neuron gets excited, action potential are being produced, leading to release of its neurotransmitter and activation of the primary motor area. So this was about your direct pathway. Next we'll see what happens in indirect pathway. In indirect pathway, this dopaminergic neuron will be releasing dopamine in its D2 receptor. So D2 receptor is a kind of, yes, inhibitory inhibitory G protein coupled receptor. That means release of dopamine to this D2 to this red neuron causes inhibition of this neuron. So this neuron is getting inhibited. Inhibited means it is unable to release its neurotransmitter. There won't be release of its neurotransmitter. So what neurotransmitter this red neuron will be releasing? GABA, isn't it? And what kind of neurotransmitter is this GABA? It is a kind of inhibitory neurotransmitter. That means it was expected to inhibit this second red neuron. But since action potential is not produced in this red neuron, it is not releasing GABA in this second neuron. That means this second neuron is not inhibited. That means it getting excited. So action potential is being produced in this red neuron. Now since action potential is produced in this red neuron, means it will release its neurotransmitter, that is GABA. What kind of neurotransmitter is this GABA? Yes, this is an inhibitory neurotransmitter. That means this GABA will be inhibiting this green neuron. Okay, so this green neuron is getting inhibited. Inhibition of this green neuron means there won't be any excitation of green neuron. That means this green neuron will not be releasing its neurotransmitter, isn't it? What is the nature of this green neuron? Yes, it is a kind of excitatory neuron. That means it should excite this red neuron. But since there is no action potential over here, it is not able to excite this red neuron. If it is not getting excited, means what it is happening? It is getting inhibited. Okay, so here also same. There won't be any excitation, there won't be any action potential in this red neuron. When there is no action potential in this red neuron, means it is not releasing its neurotransmitter. What was its neurotransmitter? GABA, isn't it? What is the role of GABA? The role of GABA is to inhibit this green neuron. But since this neuron is getting inhibited, it is not releasing its GABA in the green neuron. That means the green neuron is not getting inhibited. Not inhibited means it is getting excited. So these are producing excitatory neurons, means these neurons are producing action potential, and it will release its neurotransmitter in the primary motor area, ultimately leading to production of some kind of action. Okay, so this is the thing. What is the main role of this dopaminergic neuron? Yes, initiation of action. Initiation of action or movement. Okay, so whatever thoughts are been coming, for implementation we require some kind of initiation. So that initiation is provided by dopamine. So action can be done by direct pathway as well as by indirect pathway. Okay, so this is the normal physiology. Next we'll see about the pathophysiology. What happens in Parkinson's disease? There will be degeneration of these neurons. What happens when these neurons are degenerated, or you can say there will be reduced level of dopamine in the brain. So together what will happen? Thoughts are been coming. Okay, but for initiation we'll see first of all about the direct pathway. Thoughts are coming, and here for initiation of those thoughts we require dopaminergic neuron. So here there is no dopamine present available to act on the D1 receptor. D1 receptor was a kind of G stimulatory kind of G protein coupled receptor. Okay, so as such what was expected? Dopamine when should come, and it should, yes, produce action potential in this red neuron. But here we don't have any dopamine, so that means there won't be any binding of dopamine with D1 receptor, so there won't be any stimulation of this D1 receptor. I believe you people are understanding. D1 receptor is present in this red neuron of the direct pathway which want dopamine, but because there is no availability of dopamine, there won't be any excitation of this red neuron. That means these neurons are getting, yes, inhibited. Now when it is getting inhibited means there is no action potential produced over here. Even there is no action potential produced over here, there won't be any release of the neurotransmitter. What was the neurotransmitter released by the red neuron? Yes, GABA. And what is the nature of GABA? The nature of the GABA is it should inhibit the next coming neuron, isn't it? So it is unable to inhibit this red neuron. So if this red neuron is not getting inhibited means it is getting excited, isn't it? So there will be excitation, or you can say production of your action potential. Now when this red neuron is getting excited, that means action potential is being produced by this neuron. When action potential is produced by this neuron, then it will cause release of its neurotransmitter, that is GABA. Okay, so GABA is been released from this red neuron, and what is the role of the GABA? It is a kind of inhibitory neurotransmitter, and what it will inhibit? It will inhibit this green neuron. So this green neuron is getting inhibited. Inhibited means there won't be any action potential and there won't be any release of the neurotransmitter in the primary motor area. Okay, when primary motor area is not receiving this neurotransmitter, there won't be any production of any kind of action. There won't be any motor action. As such, what was expected from here? One corticospinal neuron will be coming. Next, from the spinal cord, motor neuron will be going to your skeletal muscle. But since primary motor area is not receiving any kind of neurotransmitter, so there won't be any action. Okay, there won't be any activity of the corticospinal neuron, and there won't be any question of motor action as such. So this is the problem. So we have discussed about the direct pathway. Next, we'll see what happens in indirect pathway. Quite simple. Dopamine is not getting released into your G inhibitory neurotransmitter, because of which this neuron is not getting inhibited. If this red neuron is not getting inhibited means it is getting excited. So action potential has been produced in this red neuron. When action potential is produced, that means it will start releasing its neurotransmitter, which is GABA. What is the nature of GABA? Yes, GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter. So it will inhibit this second neuron, that is inhibitory neuron. This red neuron is getting inhibited. Okay, next what happens when this red neuron is getting inhibited means there won't be any action potential. So if there is no action potential means there is no release of the neurotransmitter GABA. When there is no release of neurotransmitter GABA means what happens? What is the role of GABA? The role of GABA is to inhibit this green neuron. Okay, but when there is no GABA, there won't be any inhibition of this green neuron. So when there is no inhibition, what will be happening? Yes, there will be excitation. So this green neuron is getting excited. Okay, excited means this green neuron action potential are being produced. When action potential is produced, there will be release of the neurotransmitter. And what kind of neurotransmitter is being released from this green neuron? Yes, excitatory neurotransmitter. So that means this green neuron will be exciting this successively coming red neuron. When this red neuron is getting excited means neurotransmitter is being released, action potential is being generated, leading to release of the neurotransmitter. What kind of neurotransmitter is released from this red neuron? Yes, GABA. What is the nature of GABA? GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter. So its role is to inhibit this upcoming green neuron. When this green neuron is getting inhibited means there is no action potential produced. When action potential is not produced means there won't be any release of the neurotransmitter, and ultimately there will be disconnection. There won't be any activation of the primary motor area, because of which there will be production of symptoms such as hypokinesia. Okay, reduced movement. Apart from this, there will be increased release of acetylcholine, because of which there will be other symptoms such as tremors and rigidity produced. So this is regarding the pathophysiology of the Parkinsonism disease. I hope you people understood the pathogenesis. Thank you.